Thanks for joining me for this episode. Let's get right into talking about this. I'm excited about this topic, not happy about the subject matter, of course, but this is information that you're only going to hear at this podcast and this vlog. And so let's talk about what's been going on that we're really not, and nobody else is focused on. And I want to talk about church fires in the last 60 days across the United States. So I started this study in mid-May and looked at church fires through mid-July. And there is some very interesting statistics here. And I hope you'll stick with me to the end because I'm going to talk about the pattern and what I believe the interpretation of this information, and then some things that we can do. This does relate to you. Even though you just may normally work on Sundays in church security, we want to be talking about the big picture because this is a big deal. So I hope you'll stick with me. We looked at during that time period, so about 60 days, and I'm just looking at news reports. And so, it's my study, so I could have missed one or two here, but of the church fires that I found 57 across the United States. The listed cause of those fires, 6 of them were lightning caused. We had 4 of them were listed as accidental, 4 electrical, and those were, the accidental electrical were like construction related or something shorted out. And so they were determined to be more of an accident. 9 unknown. So, and I saw a couple of them where it's like the outside of the building burned, and it's burned up the side of the building. And of course, the report to the media was that it was unknown. So, but it was pretty obvious that something in that back of the building, in the back alley, started the fire at the bottom of the church building and it raced up the side. So, but I'm not an arson investigator. And 15 of them were listed as under investigation. So the church fires were listed as under investigation. 8 of them were actually listed as arson. So they were actually titled as the cause being arson. And 11 of them were titled as arson with suspect in custody. And that's what the fire officials, law enforcement reported them as arson, and then stories about the suspect being in custody. So, these 42 fires right here concern me. When we start with the unknown, we start with under investigation. That tells me that at least a cause has not been determined, and they are probably suspicious in nature, but who knows for sure. But this is a high percentage. I mean, you're looking at 74% of the fires. And again, this is only in a 60-day period across the United States. I mean, that to me that's a huge deal for us to look at. That's a lot of fires across the United States at churches. Now, 2 or 3 of these are abandoned. A couple of them were used for other purposes, other types of meetings. One was even used as a skate park inside. So, but they're still church buildings. The majority were used for church meeting purposes, Sunday services, Saturday services, those kind of things. So, this 74% of the fires are suspicious to arson, and that's a big concern. And I hope that you will take a look at this, even if you're just a security member or a team leader. What can we do about this stuff? We're going to talk about that in just a moment here. So, what can we do? And again, we're talking about a lot of fires, 42 concerning fires across the United States. I see that as an attitude towards the church. I see that as a concern that the church is being victimized in a little different way than we might normally think about. And there's nobody studying the pattern here. So it's important for you and I to discuss it so that we're aware of it. What can we do? And it's really about a little crime prevention is the best that we can do. And we're not going to be able to prevent everything. We're not going to be able to prevent all these arsons, but for the arson part, and of course the electrical and the accidental, we can't. There's nothing that we can do about that necessarily other than being more cautious with our own church. Cameras. That's a great preventative tool because people do not want to be videotaped. And the video cameras these days, it's not like a few years ago where you could go into a store or a church or somewhere and pull a crime and then take the videotape with you. It's these days the stuff goes into the cloud, and a majority of the criminals who are not under the influence or having other issues know that this stuff goes into the cloud. So the recordings, their picture, their video. So, and there's low cost cameras out there that are easy to hook up. You use your smartphone and connect it to the internet, and just put the camera up. It's really easy. I encourage you on the Blink or the Ring. Those are the two that I'm familiar with, and those are great options for us. And they're low cost, easy to install, and you can check out the right on your cell phone, your smartphone. You can be able to monitor what's going on at the church. They can give you alerts if somebody walks by, all of those kind of things. And so you have maybe some preventative tools. In fact, you can even talk to the person if you get the right Blink or Ring camera. You can even talk to the person from your cell phone, and that you're seeing at the door or wherever at. So I would strongly suggest that we're putting some of those in. And that's my thought. The next thing we can do is some signage that you have cameras. Maybe put in some no trespassing signs. Add some signs that you have cameras. Make sure everybody's alerted to that. And I know sometimes it's not aesthetically pleasing to have signage up that you have cameras, but it's a great preventative tool these days, I believe, because criminals don't want their picture taken. They don't want video of themselves generally. If they're in their right mind, if they're not under the influence, they do not want those things to be happening. And then eliminate hiding places. Most of us know that. Cut the bushes back away from the building. Get rid of the drooping trees. I know they're beautiful, but cut them back to where they're not hugging the buildings and giving people places to hide or feel like they're out of sight from the main street. Those kind of things. And add motion lighting. You don't have to have lights on all the time anymore. You've got some great motion lights out there. They're cheap, inexpensive. Or you can add them, you can get them through the Blink and Ring brand. So they have not only the motion lights, but the motion lights have a camera built in with them. So you wire them up to some existing light, get an electrician and get those things wired in. And now you have a camera and motion lighting. And so the great combos, just a few things. I'm listing basically 3 things here that you and I can do to prevent these issues and make a big dent in covering your church. And this covers it for other things as well. So I would encourage it, criminal mischief, vandalism, trespassing, just all kinds of little problems if you get more proactive. And I know traditionally we don't like to have signage and cameras and those kind of things, but it is a new day. And I want to encourage you. I hope you'll pay attention to this and make it maybe a long-term goal to add some of these things to try to make your church a harder target, as we call it, but not only during the day when you're meeting, but also at night and other times where the church may be vacant and criminals may be seeking to victimize your church. Hey, thanks for watching today. I hope you'll like, subscribe. I'd really like to have you be part of this community. Leave a comment. We exchange information. I also will answer and communicate with you where I can through your comments, and leave me a comment of what else you'd like to hear about. So I'm always wanting to interact with you. My staff as well want to do that. And so thanks again for watching. Hey, take a look at this video here. It's the next one that's a great addition for you to take a look at. Thank you.